Yeah.
Especially when you were married, you know, we didn't see this.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's because there was a lot of pressure.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Starspill USA, where we peel back the curtain on America's most infamous polygamous family and expose the raw, unedited truths behind the drama. And what a dramatic fall it has been. It all began with whispers through the frosty air of Flagstaff, Arizona, neighbors noting the disappearance of Robyn Brown's luxury vehicles and the eerie stillness of her mansion. Once brightly lit and always alive with activity, the curtains were drawn, the drive was empty, and Robyn, usually seen as Kody Brown's most favored wife, was nowhere in sight. Then the whispers hardened into fact. The Flagstaff County Bank had seized every one of Kody Brown's assets, homes, vehicles, accounts, everything. Robyn's lavish home, the symbol of her status, was foreclosed. She was caught outside in tears, clutching a cardboard box filled with her children's belongings, while officers affixed a foreclosure notice to her front door. TLC cameras, of course, were rolling. Viewers, many of whom had witnessed years of Cody and Robin living extravagantly while Janelle, Christine, and Meri and their children struggled for attention and support, were not surprised, but many were vindicated. Robyn's sobs of disbelief, "This isn't real. We have kids," rang hollow for fans who had seen her reap years of favoritism and luxury, while the others were left emotionally and financially abandoned. With Cody nowhere to be found, later confirmed to be hiding at a friend's ranch in southern Arizona, Robyn stood alone in the fallout. Then came the leaked voicemail, Cody's voice accusing Robyn of pushing for the costly Flagstaff mansion, telling her, "I gave you everything and now it's all gone." The cracks in their seemingly united front became a chasm. And for the first time, Robyn's older children took to social media to speak up. Aurora live-streamed her heartbreak, saying they weren't spoiled, just surviving, and Dayton lamented that all he wanted was peace, but now found himself homeless with his siblings. Public sympathy for the children surged. Donations rolled in, fundraisers emerged, but Robyn herself remained a target of scorn. Janelle, ever the realist, said during a tell-all that she had warned Cody for years to get their financial house in order. Christine, now happily remarried to David Woolley, went further, stating, "You favored one wife, good, ignored the rest, and now even she has no place to live. What kind of leader does that make you?" While Christine and David reportedly took in Robyn's younger children temporarily, they drew a firm line Robyn herself would need to deal with the consequences of her choices. Even Meri, usually more reserved, made a cryptic Instagram post, "Sometimes the tower has to fall before the truth comes out," which she later confirmed was aimed directly at Robyn, acknowledging that Robyn was once elevated while the rest were made to feel invisible. TLC, in crisis mode, pivoted season 19 storyline from Garrison's tragic death to Robyn's fall from grace, capturing her move to a low-budget motel provided for filming. There she wept on camera, insisting she wasn't the villain but a victim. But public sentiment wasn't on her side. A poll revealed 80% of viewers sympathized with her children, but only 24% had any compassion for her. Then came the emotional turning point, a private, camera-free meeting in a park between Robyn and Cody, though audio somehow leaked. Robyn cried out, "You said we were safe, said the house was ours," to which Cody, weary and resentful, said, "You wanted the biggest house? I gave it to you. Now we've lost everything." Robyn sobbed and accused him of blaming her, while Cody muttered the now infamous line, "You always wanted more, and I let you." The cracks were now a total collapse. Not long after, in the motel lobby, Aurora suffered a severe panic attack while trying to book rooms for her siblings. Witnesses saw her faint while Robyn screamed hysterically at hospital staff, blaming Cody for it all. Doctors advised immediate trauma therapy and urged the children be relocated to a quieter, more stable place. Fundraisers for the kids soared. Then Christine and David made headlines once more, offering to adopt Solomon and Ariella. "They need love," structure, stability, David explained. Robyn was furious. You want to raise my kids after stealing my husband? Christine's reply was sharp but poised. You didn't just lose your husband, Robyn. You lost your reality. Robyn, now living in a TLC-paid flat just for filming, had gone from queen of the household to unwanted guest in her own saga. Insiders say she's considering a memoir, The Truth Behind the Tears, My Life as the Last Sister. Wife or even pitching a spin-off series, though TLC is hesitant amidst ongoing backlash. Meanwhile, Kody is reportedly living in a rented RV on the Arizona border, working part-time as an independent consultant. Once the head of a complex plural empire, he now owns nothing and has little family support. His past decisions putting assets in Robyn's name, dismissing warnings, alienating his children have caught up to him. Janelle, Christine, and Meri have all moved on. Their children are safe, their lives more stable, they've made peace, launched businesses, and healed. But Cody and Robin, they are now the center of the wreckage they helped create. And then came the chilling Flagstaff morning when Kody, worn and ragged, showed up at Janelle's door with nothing but a duffel bag and a folder of financial documents. I need help, he said weakly. Janelle, firm and unmoved, replied, This is my house. I built this life without you. You don't get to walk back into it now. What began as a cold exchange exploded into a full confrontation with Janelle, unloading years of buried pain, how Kody had prioritized Robyn, ignored her children, and shut her down every time she raised concerns. Kody, sobbing, dropped to his knees, declaring, I'm losing everything, my kids, my house, my identity. Janelle, her eyes misty, whispered, Then maybe it's time you figured out who you really are, but you won't do it here. Don't. Drag us down with you. In a later confessional, she added, Kody thinks speeches can fix everything, but my kids carry scars, and I won't let him near us again. Christine later rang to check on her, saying Kody had shown up at her house the month before, asking David for money. They laughed bitterly, the kind of laugh that hides deep pain. He's lost, Janelle said, but I'm not. And as Robyn sat scrolling social media in her motel lobby, her children asleep on fold-out beds, the bitter truth finally surfaced, not just for her, but for all those watching. The tale of the Browns was never just about polygamy. It was about power, control, silence, and delusion. Robyn once believed she'd won, but favoritism built on resentment and manipulation only lasts as long as the money and admiration do. When the glitter fades and the empire collapses, what remains is the truth, and a woman alone, wondering how it all fell apart. Because, in the end, the collapse of Kody Brown's kingdom wasn't just a reality TV scandal. It was a reckoning.
How do you, but you shut her down too. When you were having that conversation, you were like, well, we're not going to have this conversation.
Robyn was running on empty, barely able to keep it together as the once grand illusion she and Kody built crumbled around them. She missed filming, cried constantly, and had even stopped speaking to Kody, clinging instead to the misguided belief that Janelle might step in and save them. She truly thought Janelle still cared enough to offer help, but instead, Janelle shut her out completely, physically and emotionally. Weeks later, cameras captured Robyn's breakdown, sobbing. We were supposed to grow old together. Now everyone hates us and we have nothing. It marked a turning point, not just in the show's narrative, but in the Brown family's collapse. Kody, deserted by every former wife, finally admitted the truth on air. I don't know how to be alone. I always thought I was the glue, but I was the hammer. Life had disintegrated, no home, no income, no backup plan. TLC cut his salary due to the show's uncertain future, and with his credits shot and no real work experience in decades, he began applying for jobs, used car sales, real estate, even floated the idea of a YouTube channel. Meanwhile, the internet roasted him. Janelle was hailed as a queen for turning him down. He ignored her for years now. He wants help. Go cry to Robyn. Read the viral comments. Janelle had built a life without him, quiet, stable, and self-sufficient. She'd long been the practical one, managing finances, building income streams, and even living off-grid in an RV, not out of desperation, but because it gave her peace. When Kody showed up begging for a place to stay, Janelle didn't hesitate. You prioritized Robyn for a decade. You silenced me, dismissed my kids, and now you want a roof. Kody stammered that he just needed temporary help, but Janelle stood firm. This is my home. I built it without you. Don't try to walk back into it now. The encounter spiraled quickly into a full-blown argument, captured on film as years of tension boiled over. Kody defended his choices, saying Robyn was the only one who stood by him. Janelle wasn't having it. She just told you what you wanted to hear. At one point, Kody fell to his knees, saying, I'm losing everything, my wives, my kids, my home. But Janelle, though emotional, didn't bend. Then maybe it's time you figure out who you are. But don't take us down with you. She reminded him of the years her children Gabriel, Garrison, Hunter, and Savannah were hurt by his neglect. You made them feel worthless, she said. And now you want me to forget that? Kody pleaded. I'm here now, trying to fix things. But she shook her head. Too little, too late. They needed you then. Later in a confessional, Janelle said what she'd been holding in for years. Kody thinks a few words can fix everything, but some wounds go deep. I won't let him hurt us again. Christine later called to check in. Showed up like a ghost, Janelle told. Her begged for money. I told him to leave. Christine admitted he'd asked David for a $5,000 loan the month before. They both laughed, but it was the kind of laugh you give when you've cried too much. He's lost, Janelle said. And trying to drag us with him? Christine agreed. Don't let him. Robyn, meanwhile, was falling apart in Sacramento. Producers revealed she was skipping filming, crying nonstop and isolating. She had truly believed Janelle would save them. Instead, Janelle shut the door symbolically and literally. Weeks later, Robyn sobbed on camera again, repeating the same words. We were supposed to grow old together. Now, everyone hates us. With nowhere else to go, Kody tried one last time. He returned to Janelle's house. This time, not to ask for anything, but simply to apologize. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, he said, standing on the porch. I let you down. Them down. I hope someday you can forgive me. Janelle said nothing. Arms crossed, she watched him turn and walk away. In a final confessional, she said, I gave him second chances for years. I'm not giving him a third. I found peace. And I won't trade it for pity. Free from Kody, she focused on her future, writing a wellness book, expanding her health coaching practice, and dreaming of a peaceful cabin on her slice of Coyote Pass, if legal matters ever resolve. Fans rallied behind her, calling her an icon of strength. Loyalty isn't self-sacrifice. You can love someone and still walk away. One viral post read. Meanwhile, Kody's empire was in ashes. He now lives alone in a rented RV on the outskirts of town. No wives, no show, no control. I thought I was the center, he finally admitted. But maybe I was the storm. That final knock on Janelle's door wasn't just a it was a door slamming shut on decades of repression, betrayal, and silence. And this new chapter, Janelle is writing it herself. As for Robyn, from the very beginning, she never quite fit in. Her presence, meant to be a fresh chapter, turned out to be the beginning of the end. Her parenting style, her isolation, the invisible walls she built around her children. These quiet acts of division were the real storm that broke the Brown family from within.
This is just what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you've got Christine who left, you've got Janelle that you're at odds with.
What began as a few quiet boundaries quietly imposed by Robyn Brown soon evolved into a full-scale emotional fortress, one that not only redefined the internal dynamics of the Brown family, but accelerated their slow disintegration, brick by isolating brick. Robyn's 5 children, Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, Solomon, and Ariella were subtly yet systematically insulated from their half-siblings under the guise of cautious parenting. But as time passed, what seemed like protective instincts proved to be calculated exclusion. No sleepovers with the other wives' children, no shared bedrooms, no casual visits or unsupervised phone calls. And certainly no spontaneous interactions unless Robyn herself was present and approving. She even dictated seating arrangements at meals, controlling proximity in the smallest of ways, while the family initially showed her grace, perhaps chalking it up to nerves. Past trauma, or first-time wife insecurity years passed, and those protective fences became barriers. Those precautions became policy. The term integration never truly applied to Robyn's household. It was insulation, pure and simple. Janelle eventually voiced what many suspected: protection from what? From us. And Christine, ever one to hold back, hit even harder. She treated her children like royalty, and ours like servants. Janelle's sons, especially Gabriel and Garrison, made repeated efforts to bond with Dayton, only to be met with cold distance and forced retreats. The implication was clear. They were intruding on sacred ground. Even Meri, who had initially gone out of her way to build a bond with Robyn, withdrew over time. It wasn't just the other kids who were left out. The emotional circle Robyn built had no space for extended connection. She hadn't joined a family, she had established a royal court. One where her children were safe from contamination and criticism. And Kody? He enabled it all. Whenever tensions flared, he excused her actions by murmuring vague references to trauma and fragility. She's guarded, he'd say, eyes downcast, refusing to intervene. And so Robyn drew the rules, and Kody enforced them with silence, distance, and unwavering loyalty. As Christine aptly put it, she wrote the rules, but he made sure they stuck. The result was a quiet exodus, not only of affection, but of belonging. Viewers started to notice Solomon and Ari never really played with the other kids. Robyn's older children remained distant, physically present, but emotionally disconnected. These weren't isolated incidents, they were patterns. Deliberate, painful patterns. The divide became undeniable when Garrison and Gabriel began sharing their truths, how they never felt like true brothers to Robyn's children, how they were made to feel like strangers on shared land. "We lived on the same property," Gabriel explained, "but it was like they were behind glass." Then came the bombshell. Aurora, in a leaked clip from the next season, tearfully confessed, "I didn't want to be separate. I just didn't know how to be close." Her heartbreaking admission pulled the curtain back entirely. Robyn's fear-based parenting had equated emotional loyalty with physical isolation. Loving their siblings, Aurora had been taught, was a distraction, one that could become disloyalty. In her own words, closeness meant danger. And Robyn. She finally addressed the issue on camera, blaming her trauma and her previous broken marriage. "I was shielding mine," she insisted. But Christine immediately countered. "If you're that desperate to protect your kids from your own family, maybe plural marriage wasn't the right path," Janelle added. "This wasn't about protection, it was about possession." The fans saw it too. Thanksgiving after Thanksgiving, Robyn's children were seated separately. Family reunions turned into carefully orchestrated events where Brianna and Aurora were suddenly overstimulated and removed from the group. Kody's birthday featured gifts only from Robyn's children, purchased and wrapped by Robyn herself. It wasn't subtle anymore. It was like watching someone cut the family down the middle, Meri said. And then COVID hit, and all the undercurrents exploded into open fractures. Under the pretext of health and safety, Robyn implemented strict rules. Her children didn't interact with anyone else for months. Kody moved in with her full-time, citing health risks. Gabriel, heartbroken, called him out. He said he couldn't visit us because of COVID. But he was at Robyn's every day. Christine dubbed Robyn's house the fortress and accused her of weaponizing the pandemic. She didn't quarantine her kids, she said. She quarantined Kody. The silence from Kody was deafening. He couldn't deny it because it was all on camera. Savannah later admitted she'd stopped wondering why Ari never visited. Now I get it, she said. They weren't allowed to. Hunter, visibly saddened, simply said, "We tried, but they never let us in." What began as Kody's dream of harmonious, plural unity became a clear tale of emotional favoritism. And it didn't stop with the children. The wives were casualties too. Janelle and Christine, disillusioned and worn down, eventually walked away. Meri, who had been ignored, belittled, and emotionally starved for years, merged not as a victim but a woman choosing herself. Once Kody's only legal wife, Meri had built the foundation of the family. In 1990, she married Kody with hope in her heart and a vision of spiritual abundance. But infertility became her silent shadow, and while Kody expanded the family with child after child from the other wives, Meri was left with only a one Mariah. Now, her inability to bear more children seemed to subtly diminish her standing in the family and in Kody's eyes. As the family grew, her role shrank. From cornerstone to afterthought. On screen, her pain was palpable. She lit up at the slightest kindness from Kody, only for the light to fade just as quickly. The final blow came in 2014 when Kody divorced her legally to marry Robyn and adopt Robyn's children. Was a technicality, he claimed. But to Meri, it was a spiritual betrayal of the highest order. Kody assured her their bond remained intact, but Meri knew the truth. And then came the catfishing scandal, a desperate act of emotional survival. Meri had begun communicating online with someone she thought was a man, Sam, who turned out to be a woman running a fraudulent profile. To outsiders, it looked like infidelity. But to those paying attention, it was heartbreak in motion, a woman suffocating under neglect, reaching for connection. Kody called it betrayal. But fans saw something else, a cry for affection, not rebellion. She hadn't been unfaithful, she had been unloved. Kody, in his usual fog of denial, claimed she sent mixed signals. But Meri's signals were crystal clear. She wanted to be loved, seen, chosen. And when Kody declared, "I don't feel married to her anymore," it was perhaps his most honest moment. Still, Meri didn't lash out. She turned inward. She built a new life quietly. Opened a bed and breakfast in Utah. Posted motivational quotes on Instagram. Saw a therapist. Traveled. She didn't scream or explode. She healed. Kody mistook it for coldness. But Meri wasn't bitter. She was rebuilding. She had stopped setting herself on fire to keep others warm. She had learned the hardest truth of all. Kody never loved her the way she loved him. Yet, she didn't allow that pain to define her. She emerged from the ashes, not broken, but whole. Season 19 shows a Meri who has stopped lingering in doorways, waiting for crumbs. She's no longer hoping, no longer pleading. She's just done. And for the first time, fans see her clearly. Not as a forgotten wife, but as a survivor. She represents the quiet strength of women who have loved too deeply, endured too silently, and finally chosen freedom over fantasy. Her story isn't about Kody anymore, it's about Meri. Her life no longer circles around the orbit of a man who barely looked at her. She's now free to write, to speak, to inspire, to live fully and fearlessly. If love finds her again, she will greet it as a whole woman, not a shattered one. Because Meri's warmth remains, but she's no longer willing to burn herself down for it. Her redemption lies in her clarity, her peace. As for the rest of the Brown family, the cracks are now fault lines. Children are speaking out. Wives are walking away. Viewers are no longer buying the narrative of unity through chaos. They see it clearly now. Kody chose Robyn, Robyn chose control. And the family suffered for it. Christine and Janelle now flourish independently. Meri is reborn, and Robyn still behind her fortress, still claiming fear while wielding control. Kody's dream collapsed, not from outside attacks, but from choices made within. And Meri stands as the clearest proof that even those who are forgotten can remember who they truly are. Thank you for following this final chapter in our 3-part expose. For more unfiltered truth and behind-the-scenes revelations, stay tuned to Starspill USA, where we don't just tell stories, we set the record straight.